It was my bad. Sorry. I apologize. All right. I'm really sorry I cannot be there with you guys. It was just raining heavily here in Portugal. So I wish it's a lot better now. It feels a lot better there. I'm not going to take a long time. I just want to mention some of the things that we had done in the context of NEUBIAS. Let me see if I can get rid of these things here. It's up the screen. So as many of you are maybe aware, NEUBIAS was an initiative funded by the Course European Cooperation in Science and Technology. We had funding for 4 years, and during those 4 years, we made this really ambitious project of reaching out to the community, finding their needs, and organizing training schools. We ended up organizing 15 training schools, as I'll be showing you in a moment. Even though I am not there, my dear friend Fabrice Codelier is actually there in South Africa with you guys. So reach out for him if you want to get more information or participation on somehow collaborate. Kota also, both Fabrice and I were in charge of running the working package for organizing the training in NEUBIAS. And Kota was a big, huge help in organizing the advanced training schools for this. So I want to reach out to them and all of the other colleagues. There were so many colleagues. More than 100 people were involved in actually organizing and training on these training schools. So I just want to publicly thank them all for making this possible. So NEUBIAS, as I said, was a community of more than 250 active members from dozens of countries. We ended up organizing 15 training schools during those 4 years that we were active in the granting period. We had almost 1,000 applicants, and of these we were able to select 400 unique trainers. There were around 360, if I recall properly. So meaning that some of them actually went through the whole program of the different training schools. At the same time, every year we organized a conference where everybody would join us, and the conference kept growing every year until in the last one in Bordeaux in 2020, we actually had 350 participants, all fully dedicated just to discussing and showing techniques on bioimage analysis. At the same time that the training schools were going, we were also organizing what were known as tagathons, where some of the participants would get together and just look for software and all workflows and things that are out there that could be of interest to the community, and created this database where information is now stored, including some of the training materials that were developed during these schools. If you search in Google for NEUBIAS, you will see that there's lots of publications where NEUBIAS is mentioned and lots of initiatives. So, and it's still active. There's also a publication that we eventually did, which addresses the results of the training school, sort of a highlight of what happened during the training schools. The NEUBIAS as a website where you can find all of the information. And this is the publication that I was mentioning, where if you're organizing a training school and you'd like to get some information on what was our experience, how we organized the courses, the different tiers, they're extensively described in this publication, and including some links to where you can access some of the materials. I'm just going to divert a little bit to show you the website where you can find information about NEUBIAS. So information about the conferences is here. Information about the training schools is here. You can find, the description for each of the 3 levels of schools. We are basically organized in providing support for early career investigators, and we organized all of these schools. Each one of these leads to a page where you can see the full program, who trained, what was the program. So this can serve as an inspiration for someone who is assembling a course. The other piece of information that is essential also to access the materials is where we actually eventually deposited the information. Currently, it still resides on Google Drive. I can just show you that in one of the schools, for example, sorry, let me just go back. In one of the schools, for example, that we organized here in Portugal, this is the list of all the training materials that were produced during the school. For example, it includes both the PowerPoints in Google format and PowerPoint format. And if you contact us, you're free to use this data sets for you to use during the exercises, and including also if there's any code or additional instructions that would be deposited here. Let me go back to my presentation. So this is basically the family of all the trainers and trainees who participated in these schools, and the list of where they occurred and which years. This is just pinpointing the locations of most of the participants in the schools. This graph was produced during COVID. It was, now I realize that maybe this is bizarre of a graph to show publicly in the publication during COVID, but it just gives you a broad view of the origin of all of the participants. And unfortunately, back then, we did not have participants from Africa, as far as I remember. That has changed eventually, but and I will tell you that in a moment. What I would like also to point out is the fact that the applicants, not the actual participants, but the applicants, the people who were reaching the training schools, included lots of life scientists. Almost half of them were life scientists who really needed to learn image analysis, but also instrumentalists, typically people who were in facilities, and analysts and developers also. Lots of developers wanted to have a community where they could interact and learn more. So taking this into consideration, we designed those 3 programs where we were targeting life scientists or the early career researchers, facilities staff, and developers, and many of these eventually progressed during the school and became analysts themselves. After the round of funding ended, we started an initiative called NEUBIAS Academy, and right when COVID hit us, NEUBIAS Academy actually worked from home, producing lots of materials, and these are now available online. Lots and lots of materials have been produced by lots of people, and this was the work of lots of people. Actually, I was not heavily involved in this process at all, but I'm really glad that this work was done. If you're wondering where you can find more information and the materials from the NEUBIAS schools, you can start from the website, which I've just shown you. There is also a database, a searchable database, which contains not just the training materials and the access to the training materials, but also, and let me just very quickly show you how you can search for things in BIII. Just a moment, please.